You gotta get the hype song, you know?
There you go. You got to get excited.
You gotta get excited. It's all about living a good life, nice, good energy. So what's your day looking like, man?
Just working. Not a whole lot going on.
What does an average day look like for Miles?
Uh, Phone calls, meetings, some coding, and yeah, more coding, I guess. And usually travel. I'm usually traveling all over the place, which is fun.
Oh, excellent. Like where's the last place you went?
Uh, I went and saw some family in the Midwest over the holidays.
There you go.
But yeah, last year I was all over the place. I guess some of the highlights were the Bahamas was fun. DC about a dozen times, Austin, Texas about a dozen times, San Francisco, Napa Valley, New York. Yeah, a lot of fun.
So when you're traveling around, who's coding?
Me still. I don't really take any days off, so
Me either. I love working, man. I absolutely love what I do in life. And it's just, how long have you been programming for?
almost a decade now.
Yeah. So you're passionate about it. You know, it's like the thing that you do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm moving more and more into management and less coding, and I think as our company scales, that's kind of the plan too, is to do more less and less coding and more planning, management, things like that.
How many engineers do you have now?
Right now, it's just me on the team. We had a little larger team last year, and then we decided. Well, they just kind of one by one decided to go elsewhere. We kind of pivoted the company, which was fine, and then now we are kind of looking to grow quickly. So I actually just hired an agency that I used to work at, actually, to kind of help me build our next version of our applications, and that's exciting. While we then go hire some full-time people.
Oh, great. Yeah. You know, I've noticed I have quite a few CTO friends, and I'd say a good portion of them are starting to use like outside contractor agencies to extend their product, even when they have a couple developers in house.
Yeah, I mean, for us, part of it was the biggest part of it was for us. This next version is kind of testing some theories about how we're going to scale our company, and so we wanted to get that up and going as fast as possible, without having to kind of take time to find the right people, onboard them, things like that.
Ooh, so you guys are going to test some stuff?
Yeah, testing kind
Who's your customer?
Our customers are restaurant owners and restaurant customers. So yeah, one of the main things that we do and kind of what we built our business around was inventing a new way of financing restaurants. So growing restaurants always need more capital if they're expanding to multiple locations or they're just renovating current restaurants. They can always use capital like that. And so we started the company 3 years ago, and my business partner, our CEO, he had previously invested in about 20 restaurants across the country and just saw how much of a struggle it is for restaurants in particular to line up capital. Um, and that's why we kind of started down this path of how can we help them get the capital that they need in a way that makes a lot of sense. And so the main thing we do is we finance growing restaurants, but the restaurants that use us get access to this really cool mobile app that provides a really cool customer experience for their customers. And so so that's kind of the state of it. And the future vision that we're working on now is to allow any restaurant, even if we haven't financed them, to use that really cool customer experience mobile app. And then if along the line they need capital, we're there for them.
Very cool. How many sort of restaurants do you have now on the platform?
We've done about 40 across the country, and we just launched a few in Australia, actually.
Oh, cool. We have an Australian guest coming on the show today.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, one of the main guys, his name's Ram. He has a popular podcast, Growth. I believe it's a growth podcast, right, Jake? I think it's something related to growth. Super popular, super great personality guy, and we're staying late at the office because of the time difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had half of our guys down there a couple months ago for a while, and it was interesting trying to get the time difference. There's a small window where it made sense to have team calls and stuff like that.
Right. So
Yeah.
so you've got these 40 companies, and then are you open to the public?
So we're not really. So restaurants right now can come and reach out to us. We get a lot of referrals too for the financing part of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then, like I said, once we finance them, then they have access to all these really cool experience applications and gets their customers involved and all sorts of cool things. So that's kind of the plan in the next 3 to 6 months, is to just let any restaurant anywhere just come to our website, sign up, and start using our really cool customer experience technology. And then when they need financing down the road for whatever, that's what we're here for.
So what sort of value do you provide prior? It's like you have the financing concept. That's a service that they would use of yours. But what value do you provide other than that? Because it seems like they might come to your app for something and then
Right.
transition to
So
financing.
yeah, exactly. So the app value add is really about the experience. So you provide a better experience that we can help. We can leverage technology to help you provide a great experience. So one of the things that restaurant owners don't know about is when do their best customers walk in the door. So there are some companies, point of sale companies, that are starting to match credit card usage to say, hey, this person's been here 3 times prior, but it's susceptible to, if you used a different payment source or whatever, then that wouldn't work. Or more likely the case is that you just don't care at that point, right? You want to know as a restaurant owner that this person has come in 6 times before and they ordered these things and they spent this amount of money, and but you want to know that when they walk in the door, so you can provide them a good experience, not at the end of the meal when you're cashing them out.
Yeah, that's interesting because I was talking with about, I think it's October of this year or September of this year. I was talking to a local restaurant, like five location chain, little local restaurant. And one of the things that we were talking about is the possibility of using some sort of data analytics, I guess machine learning type deal to do guesstimations of the credit card matching to the customers. So when they check out, they could, ping the manager to go say something nice as they leave, right? And then so then that's one of the things that we were just talking about, brainstorming about. So it's awesome that you bring that up. But that's not the answer, you say. Well, what is the answer? How do you do it then?
Well, the answer in terms of hospitality is that you want to know when they walk in the door. You don't want to know at the
No,
end of the
I'm
meal.
asking, how do you do it?
Yeah. So every one of so our customers, we help the restaurant identify the best customers. So their customers buy these things called house accounts, and then they have our mobile app. And with our mobile app, we can use location and beacons to say that, hey, someone just walked in the door for you.
Oh, smart. So you get them to install a rewards app, and then on the rewards app, you're tracking location, and when they enter the vicinity, you alert.
So, yeah, pretty much like that. Exactly. It's not really a rewards app. We call them house accounts, and basically, it's the idea is that we help you identify your best customers by having them prepay a large amount, and then we'll give you bonus credit. So, for instance, you pay $500, but you'd get $700 in credit, right? And if you're someone that goes there multiple times a month,
Oh.
you would totally do that, right? Since you're going to use it anyway.
When you first started speaking, I was like, nah. But then I thought of like three people who I know would actually do that.
Yeah, and I'm sure you can think of multiple restaurants yourself that you frequent all the time
Oh,
that you really care about.
my stepmom, okay,
Yeah,
she will go on the Christmas sale to Bonefish and buy
mm,
$1,000 worth of their gift cards, because if it's like if you buy 50, you get 10 free,
right,
and
right,
she'll
right,
just use the gift cards the whole year.
right. Yeah,
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 that's
yeah.
crazy.
Quite a few people do that. Yeah, quite a few people do that. And then the reason, obviously, you want to provide a great experience is so that those people keep coming back, but also those are the people that you want to be referring new customers. So every restaurant wants new customers. That's what they'll talk about all the time. And the best way that you can do that is by providing a great experience to the people that you want referring. Groupon, a few years ago was the really hot way that every restaurant would do a Groupon deal, and you would get a new customer. That's true, but they would come in, get their half off everything, and then never come back, right?
Interesting. Yeah. See, I don't know much about the restaurant industry. I just know that like 9 times out of 10, Gordon Ramsay's involved. So I assume he's like the backer financially of this project.
Oh, of course, yeah,
Of
no,
course, of course. Okay, good, good, good.
uh, no, we know actually a lot about the restaurant industry over the past 3 or 4 years, because we also, through doing this, have we opened our own restaurant in Washington D.C., and we still own and operate that today. And so it's a pretty unique thing that I can go out to D.C. and be a bartender for a night or be a waiter for a night and actually see what it's like and have a place where we can try out new features in our app and things like that. It's pretty fun.
No, that's super cool. I was actually talking with, I hope I get this right, Douglas Woodrow. Is that right, Jake? All right, I was talking to Douglas Woodrow. They are making software for moving, like a product for moving. But in order to really understand the business, what they did was they actually started a moving company.
Yeah, nice.
And I'm like, oh man, you start a moving company, you do a brand, you do a website, you throw some Facebook ads, you generate some feedback, you engage with the community. They networked with real estate people, so once they sell their house, they get referral and like a discount. They did whatever they could just to get business into the moving company, just so that they could figure out what the problems were and then solve them with software. That's their business model. I was like, oh man, I love
Yeah,
Doug.
the best way to know what your customers need is to be your own customer, So that's definitely something that we've taken into account. And like I said, we started this business after, my our CEO invested in a ton of restaurants himself personally, and got to see kind of the behind the scenes of how things are financed, how things grow, common mistakes. You have really passionate people providing great food, drinks, and hospitality, but they're not that savvy at setting a term sheet for an equity investor or
Right.
figuring out what loan they should take or something like that. So that's why we wanted to. That's how we grew our expertise for sure, is by being in there and being in the domain.
Well, it's also interesting because like you have the perspective of those things change, Miles, right? Like, okay, so I was talking with one company and they're a 30-year-old company and their revenue is decreasing every year, right? And so I'm talking with them about it and like, we don't understand. We're doing the same thing that worked for us for, 25 years. And like, it hasn't worked the past 5 years.
Well,
And
maybe that's the problem.
yeah, I'm like, all right, look, things can work for a long time and then they cannot work because it's the pay attention to the market. What does the
Yeah.
market want? What are they doing? And so, uh, just bringing that sort of perspective, one of the ways you guys are protecting against that is by actually owning and continuing to operate the restaurant after you have the initial experience to build the initial product, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the number one thing we see done incorrectly in the restaurant industry, is that you
Mhm.
get a bunch of smart people that can code something beautifully or make a great product, but they don't understand the industry. And they think, well, wouldn't it be awesome to be able to do this and that on your phone? And it's like, good luck trying to get a restaurant manager or a restaurant customer to do that. Like, good luck, because it's not going to work. I think what's interesting is uh, uh, you're seeing kind of a next generation of how technology can eventually influence restaurants, but and it's interesting to see have pockets of it all over the world. So I know a big thing in China is when you sit down at a table, there's just a QR code in the middle of the table and you scan it and it shows you the menu and you pick out what you want and gets delivered to your table. And then you pay through your phone too, right? But imagine trying to, I mean, that technology exists. It's not very complicated. It's pretty straightforward, but imagine trying to do that in most of the restaurants you frequent in the US. Like it's just not practically feasible, even if the technology is there.
Well, they're making a lot of progress with the little touch screens at the table. Have
Yeah,
you seen?
large chains are pretty much everyone else except Applebee's and Olive Garden. Those huge chains are very resistant to that. even though it helps reduce labor costs and helps you possibly turn tables a little faster. It doesn't. At the end of the day, a restaurant still is about hospitality, and for a lot of people that are trying to provide a certain experience, that just takes away a lot of the experience they're trying to provide.
That's why you're getting me. That's why you're getting me fired up right now, Miles. Get me fired up because they're trying to be, as Gary Vee would say, they're trying to be romantic about what they think the experience should be rather than what the market wants. I want to enter my order on that touch screen because I want it put in the dessert when I want to put in the dessert. I don't want to wait 7 minutes for the waiter to finish their cigarette break and come back over to me and ask, "Oh, would you like dessert and a check now?" I want to put in that chocolate mousse cake like right when I'm ready for it, like halfway through my entree, right?
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
I think that's one perspective for sure. I mean, I personally am. I don't like. I hate those touchscreens. I think they're.
Really?
Oh, I hate them. I think they're. It may, like I said, it makes sense if you go to Applebee's or Olive Garden, something like that, where you just, what you're getting, and it's whatever. But when I go to, a local restaurant here that's really passionate about some aspect of food, whether it be, really fresh vegetables or some kind of new beef steak program that they have going on or something. I want to learn about it. I want to hear about it. I want to interact with the people. And your waiter is an important part of the hospitality aspect of you know the entire experience, not just the food you put in your mouth.
Right. And you know what I see for some reason going through my head right now? I see at the nicer restaurants that they have you seen those I saw this company called Oak something and they have these amazing mirrors like straight out of the future, Miles.
Hmm.
And they look like the future where they have like the mirror has like the weather on it and stuff and it's done really really well. It's not like cheaply projected. It looks really rich experience.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we'll find maybe the higher end restaurants will have a classier version of the touchscreen, like a more expensive, nicer version of the touchscreen, just like faucets. Like you got the standard faucet, the standard chrome faucet, but then you go to like a really like a mansion, and it's got like these touch sensors, and it's still a faucet. It's just a way more advanced version. Do you think that'll happen?
so, I mean, you kind of already see that happen if you go to like a high-end steak place. Sometimes they'll have their wine list on an iPad, right? And yeah, you can go through there, and very rarely can you actually push the button to have it ordered or something. But having a list of 300 things on a menu when you want, the expert sommelier to walk over and talk to you about what you prefer and what you like or don't like and what you're eating tonight and what goes well with that or doesn't go well with that is really an experience that's harder to replicate on an iPad. And again, it's it's really hard to think about how um, you you cross the human aspect of it. There are so many people and so many things that even if technology can do it, the fact that you have a human there talking to you, looking at you, talking to you personally, just makes a huge difference, especially when it comes to hospitality, especially when it comes to having a night out where it's partially entertainment, it's partially experiencing something new and learning about something that you haven't heard of before, or um, you know just getting that human connection is, even if technology can replicate it's I don't think there are going to be a lot of places that you can see that. Like I said, you might see some augmented things like maybe a wine list on an iPad that you're seeing now, but I don't think we'll get to a point in I don't think we'll get to a point in the majority of restaurants where you are not interacting with the waiter.
I understand that sort. I get that. I mean, I think in a couple hundred years the robots win anyways, so we'll all be living in VR. But that's like crazy talk. I'm not looking at autonomizing or removing the waiters. I definitely think they will shift to, like you said, like a more of a specialist role, and I
Right.
definitely don't want them gone because I
Right.
love human interaction.
Yeah.
What I want is the option I want the option, like in some mood, sometimes I'm feeling like really social and I want to go in. I'm interacting with the waiter. How you doing? What's your day? Oh, today's going to be just, I'm going to try something different today. I'm going to get a new wine, I'm not going to do my standard one. And now I'm going to interact with them and say, oh, what do you like? What do you think? And like, sometimes I'm very human-y
Yeah.
and I want that. And other times I'm just like, yo, chicken, like
Yeah. Here's
also
my
chicken.
order. Let's get it in. I'm hungry.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And I think people go to different restaurants sometimes for those experiences. And I think that's, right now, obviously that's done based on the waiter just feeling out the table. One thing that, piece of technology, one of our point of sale partners that we use at our restaurant is a point of sale called Toast. And so one of the things that they do is every waiter has a tablet. And instead of having to talk to the table about what they want and then go back to a station to punch in the order, they can just do the order right on the tablet. So at our
Right.
restaurant, one of the things we do is we have the waiter stays in their section. They don't ever leave the section.
Ooh, I
Everything
like that.
everything that is brought out, drinks, food, whatever, is brought out by a runner. And when you order, they sit there on the tablet right with you, push the buttons, a ticket gets printed out at either the bar or the kitchen, and then food or drinks get made and get brought out to you. So the waiter is always there, always talking to you, always trying to make sure things are all right. And if they feel at the table that it's, they're just in here, know their order, down to business, whatever, then that's fine. But they can be more attentive rather than wasting time running back and forth and around for things.
Okay, I want to know what's the name of this restaurant.
So our restaurant in Washington, D.C. is called Prequel, and we named it that because of the kind of format that it does. So we opened it as a way to allow chefs at different restaurants to, if they wanted to open their own restaurant. This was kind of in the earlier days of our company when we were focusing more on new restaurants, but we still do some, but we do mainly existing restaurants now. But anyway, they could come and for 3 to 6 months, they can do their concept, run out of the whole kitchen, have the whole table, do whatever. The bar is the same bar program. Cocktails, wine is a great cocktail program. We actually have the largest barrel aged program in the country. Probably we have about 30, 40 oak barrels that we age a bunch of cocktails in, which is really fun. So people come for the cocktails and then they come to try whatever the flavor of that those few months is.
So you mix and age the cocktail?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the restaurant is about 3 blocks northwest of the White House. It's on K Street, where there are a lot of law offices and lobbyists.
Yeah,
And
my
so,
sister works there.
oh, awesome. Yeah,
Right in
well,
those law offices.
awesome. Well, tell your sister to drop by sometime because
No,
it's
I'm gonna go. I'm excited. I've never been to a restaurant that does this, that has this format, and I want to know what the dining experience is like, not having to hunt down help.
yeah. They should be around, not having to leave and just punching things on a tablet, just to be able to talk to people, which is a pretty cool experience.
All right, well, we're gonna go there, Miles, and
All
you're
right.
gonna help me with my wine, because man, I can't. I texted my wife before this interview. I'm like, what wine do I like? Because it just popped in my head. I like the Coppola. It may not be classy. I don't even know, but
Okay.
I don't even know what Coppola is, if it's a type or if it's a brand. But usually when I go there, I get that, and it's pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like
Okay.
that one. There's a couple other ones, but I have a lot of people around me who are good with wine, and that removes my desire really to learn a whole lot about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear this guy Gary Vee all the time. He's talking about like something like Chateau Pop or something. Like, do you know what he's
Yeah.
talking about? What is that?
Yeah. So it's this estate, I think in France, that the Pope owns,
Oh, cool.
and
Crazy
or
hat. Yeah.
that's why it's called Chateau de Pope. To Pop, it's
Pop.
Chateau of the Pope. Like
Oh,
that's
House of the
what it is.
Pope.
Exactly. Yeah, it's House of
Oh,
the Pope.
but he just
Um,
is like saying pop slang.
no, it's French.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
it's
how is it correctly pronounced?
I took French 3 years in high school, so that was a long time ago. So pop, I think. Pop, I think.
Oh, so you say pop. All right, cool.
Say pop, but yeah. Anyway, it's this estate that the Pope either does own or used to own, but it's very good wine for sure.
Yeah, so you have to know Gary. You have to know of Gary Vee then, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You guys like bros or?
Yeah, I love Barolos. That's probably anything
Oh,
from the
sorry.
region is kind of what I'm on lately for sure.
I just giggled like a schoolgirl on a show. No, what did you say? What's the brand?
So Piedmont is the region in Italy where they have Barolos, Nebbiolos,
Yeah. See, I know
Barberos.
fancy brands.
Well, if
I
my advice is to just know what regions you like and what countries you like and kind of things, and then it doesn't really matter as much the winery exactly. And if you go to a restaurant or something, you can say like, I really like these types of wines from these countries or regions, and they'll help you navigate it.
Interesting.
Yeah,
You guys programming. You're programming in Ruby right now, right?
yeah, yep.
Ooh, you loving it? You've been in Ruby a while.
Yeah, been in Ruby a while. Like it a lot. Yeah, it's really cool.
Were you in?
It's
Is that your first language?
geez, I don't remember even what my first language was. Like Perl CGI scripts back in the
Right. Right.
day. Yeah, I really like Ruby's expressiveness, its natural reading language, and I'm also just a really big fan of software that has an opinion. So
Mhm.
Ruby on Rails is not the most flexible thing in the world for all situations, but that's okay. I think it has an opinion about what it's used for and what it's good at, and you should follow along. And if you need to break from that, then they have, some advice on how you can break from that. But if you're looking to do something totally different, then they may not be the right solution, which is totally fine. And I think that's a great way to go about it. I'd rather help people I'd rather help a smaller number of people immensely than a large amount of people really poorly, right? And
Right.
I saw that you interviewed the CTO at Basecamp, and they're another group of people that I respect a lot for some of those same reasons. They have opinions, they have things. This is how it should go, and if you're not a fit for their product, then that's fine. You can find something else. But the people that do use it really love it.
Oh yeah, no, I loved how steadfast Ryan Singer was like with how they do things, and he's very, very, very like specific and direct, and I super admire that. Did you listen to it, or did you just see that that he was on the show?
I haven't gotten a chance to listen to it, but I saw that you interviewed him, so I'm really interested to go back and listen to it.
Yeah, they do these. I'll give you the summary, right? They do these like 6 week development cycles.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's and like nothing interrupts them. Like it's a religion there. Nothing will interrupt the 6 week development cycle. They decide what they're doing. They do it. They have a small team, a developer, a designer. Usually the designer will write up the announcement because I was asking like, oh, you have this, who writes the marketing? They don't have marketing people.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, yep, that company is run by 3 engineers. Right. They have a great, like, I was on Basecamp for quite a while.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting how the company totally takes on the personality of the owners in like every instance, like every
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think one of the side effects of focusing on the people that you want to serve, the use case that you want to serve, and having an opinion about that is that they're much more likely to refer other users to you. And I think that's how they can get away with not having a marketing team or someone that's constantly monitoring ads online every day, all day to be able to get more users. They just make their current users really happy and let them know that they should be referring people.
Interesting, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's
Great.
also interesting that like that's where our mind goes in 2018, that the marketing person is sitting down running ads all day. That's so interesting that like that's like the default view. Like, nope, not out developing
Yeah.
relationships with customers that can open up and give you more distribution. They're running ads. I think that's interesting. And I definitely at different stages, the marketing people should be doing different things. But
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, so
I think
how
they also fame and exposure from just the way they run their company and the various books they've released,
they did a
which
great job. Yeah.
yeah certainly helps. Although I don't know how much overlap there is between the nerdy fans like you and I that read their books because of their great technologists that we all want to emulate, or and the people that actually use their product. I don't know how much of an overlap there that is, but definitely a big fan of their books that just talking in general about how businesses should be run and how you should do work.
Yeah, and of course, Rails helped them tremendously. They got every developer to be a fan, right?
Yeah, that's true too. Which developers in their respective companies can be advocates for their, hey, we should try this Basecamp thing.
Absolutely. Did you use Basecamp?
We are using Basecamp. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Mhm.
Would you like it? And I'm just throwing this out there. Just tell me if you'd find any use to it. Do you have an Alexa, by the way?
I do. I have three.
Oh yeah. Would you like if you could say, "Hey Alexa, what's going on in Basecamp today?" and she could read you some summary?
uh, I I don't. Yeah, I mean, sure, it'd be fun to try that out.
No, I'm asking you if you'd like. Would you enjoy that?
Um, I don't know.
Interesting.
I'm also kind of opinionated about kind of boundaries for things. So
Oh man, you should work at Basecamp.
I don't do notifications on my phone for emails or anything like that. If I'm sitting at my computer, then I'm in work mode, But I don't want to glance at my phone and have 20 emails that I feel compelled to respond to, right away.
Wow, I love
Yeah.
it. I love how this is what I like about talking to everybody, all these different CTOs and people. I mean, everybody's so different, but we're all so similar. It's beautiful because, like me,
Yeah.
man, like I get high on it. People email me about the show. Oh man, show was awesome, brought a ton of value, and I'm like every second, I'm like, yeah. I mean, I'm up till 2 in the morning every night responding to people, working with the editors on the content and the book, and like I chunk my day into like three segments, my mornings and then my work day at work and then my after work. Yeah, right. Because based on who's around me at the time, because I get the people that
Right.
work. Yeah, I do my family time in the mornings actually because I like to give my family my best time.
Yeah.
So I have a little 4-month-old daughter, my first child.
That's
So,
awesome.
dude, in the morning I count smiles. Like I get up, I make some tea. I'm a straight black tea type person. Make some straight Earl Grey black tea. Uh, Play with my daughter and try to get her to smile as much as possible. I'm typically getting about 8 to 10 smiles a morning. So
Nice.
yeah, it's a solid count, solid count. She found her feet. She figured out her feet the other day. So now she's like moving those. Yeah. And then I play some guitar. And
Cool.
yeah, we'll sit around and like make up songs just for fun, kind of like freestyle. They get very wrong. they, we there's no holds, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so we play some music, and we have good family time, and then I start my calls and head into the office and do my work all day with people, record multiple shows, do production, review everything, run some of the businesses that I'm a part of, get back to all them. And then I get home, I eat dinner, go for like a family walk for an hour. And then I'm, until 2 in the morning from like, 9 to 2 at night.
Yeah.
I, editing, book stuff, all the stuff with my other group of people that work with me. So it's a lot of fun, but yeah,
That's awesome.
I love it. Like I love it. So I'm addicted to it like a video game.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's really cool. And when you're like doing family time, do
Yeah.
you turn off your phone? Do you put your phone somewhere else, or like how do you not get roped back in?
I don't touch my phone, and my family time is heavily consolidated, like 2 hours in the morning, an hour at night, and in those times, it's rare that I touch my phone.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to touch your phone while you're playing guitar, or
That's true.
yeah, or
Although
counting
it's
smiles.
easier now if you can see it and you see notifications coming on, you can ask Siri or something. But
Well, I do not disturb, and I like have
that's great.
heavily configured it so that way I can take pictures and do videos with my family without actually even seeing anything come through.
Yeah, that's really smart. That's one of those features that I wish people knew more about and kind of took advantage of because I totally agree. That's a great way to do it.
Yeah, that's how I shut the world off. If I'm like, not right now, I hit do not, and it takes actually a little configuration too. Like at first you try it and it's got some settings where like it'll let calls through if they call enough, and like it's got these weird settings. But if you set it up and completely black it out, it's really good.
Yeah. Most of the settings you got to do a couple of times again. I started using the I'm driving mode, doing automatic texting back, hey, I'm driving. If it's important, call me. And it was really annoying. I had to turn that off.
Yeah, I do because I get driven a lot, and I need to type while I'm driving, while I'm being driven, while the car is in motion. It,
Right,
it
right.
it doesn't know that I'm not driving.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, it happened to me on a boat actually this summer.
Right.
On a boat, and it's like you do not disturb while driving, and I'm like, I'm riding in a boat. Big
So
deal. Yeah,
um, Dojo 4. Am I saying that right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What is that, man? Worker owned agency? Like, I don't know anything about that. You used to work there.
Yeah.
What is it?
So they, um, I don't know the legal entity for it, but they, they're basically a collection of freelancers that work on different projects together, and the entity is co-owned by people that are do a majority of the work together. So it's kind of cool that they've really tried to democratize what projects they bring on and who's kind of in control. And it started with a couple of people, and then they decided that they really wanted to give equity and voting and ownership to the people they frequently work with, and so then they started doing that. And I think it's structured as a co-op employee.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's how my power company is structured.
Hmm.
Like it's a power company, but it's a co-op. I don't know. They just send me mail. I'm just like, okay, that's great. Now
Yeah.
is it you worked in this co-op, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
How was it? Was there lots of benefit? Was it different? Was it kind of just the same stuff or?
Well, at the time, they were not doing the co-op that I was there.
Oh, great.
They they were kind of the full service agency with full time employees, and so I was a full time employee. And then they decided to go into the kind of co-op, freelance entity owned, um, model. And then it had been 3 years I had worked there and really enjoyed myself and really learned a lot. Still have obviously a lot of friends there since I'm working with them at this company too, hiring them as a paying client now. But so I started to look for my next gig, and got in touch with our CEO, and the rest is history.
Nice. So you're the CTO at the company,
Yeah.
correct?
Yep.
So how's the day-to-day relationship? We like to talk about everything. We like to talk about everything that the CTO actually experiences to
Yeah.
bring value to other CTOs.
Yeah.
One thing that's super big and that's not I've never heard it in a book, never seen it anywhere. People don't talk about it much. The
Mhm.
relationship between the CTO and the CEO, like it's tough.
Yeah.
Like it's a relationship. Like there's ups and downs, and like what have you experienced? Like how's it like changed you? How have you grown from it? I want to know about it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a relationship that you have to manage and understand. I think my CEO and I are in a unique position because we're the two C-level at the company right now, and so we kind of bear a lot of responsibility for the company, and so it kind of unites us in that way. I'm also it's kind of unique that our CEO has a computer science degree and has done some tech work in his background. So I feel pretty comfortable talking to him about things that I probably wouldn't be able to talk about with non-technical people. Um, he uh, he did that early on in his career, so not as familiar as it or adept as it as I am, obviously, but still can grok some major things, which is cool.
Yeah, so he's
And
got some context, some empathy, some awareness of what's going on.
for sure, yeah, and he's understanding. I think one of the things that you talk to non-business, non-tech people, and I saw this a lot at Dojo 4 when we talk with clients that were not technical about saying, "Hey, can we just have this one little thing that does this thing?" And we're like, "Great, that'll be 4 weeks." And they're like, "Well, why? How does it take?
Raw.
Yeah, exactly.
Angry noises. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't realize how complicated it is, and I think that's kind of one of the benefits of my CEO now is that I can tell him like, okay, yep, that's great. I'm really excited about that. We're definitely going to do all that. It's going to take 2 months, and he'll be like, yep, got it. Not even questioning me or anything like that. So
Yeah, you
I think
build that trust, and then it's just
yeah,
like you tell me what it takes, and then I let the experts execute.
Yeah, exactly. In terms of managing relationship, one of the things we've implemented is daily old school phone calls where he or I just pick up the phone and call each other every single day. We're often not in the same location. We both travel a lot, and right now we live in different cities. So that's why we do a daily call to just make sure we're on the same page about business and everything that we're doing, but also just personally, it's
Yeah.
good to hear someone's voice on the other end and know what's going on in their life to kind of have a better relationship with them.
Yeah, well, long distance relationships are tough, Miles. You're going off to college. Well, your high school sweetheart. No. So I checked out InKind, of course, which is this whole restaurant app technology that we're talking about. I love how you guys are providing value to the market with this house account concept,
Yeah,
while also like that supporting what you want to do with the financing. It's like you guys have two products and they flow into each other, which is
exactly.
I think it's super smart. So kudos on that.
Thank
Um,
you.
your website,
Yeah.
I liked it, and here's why. Uh,
Okay.
uh, you guys communicated exactly what it does on the front of the page.
Good.
You're like 1, 2, 3, 4. This is what we do, and
Sweet.
I'm like, thank you, right? Like every I'd say 8 times out of 10
Yeah. Yeah.
that I go to a site, they make me like work for it. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I got now I feel like a research analyst trying to figure out what they do, digging through their site pages. They're using ambiguous terms and like, oh man, it's so frustrating. But you just serve it right up, right in front of you. That's what I like.
I think that's also sometimes the side effect of having a large marketing team is they get kind of ahead of themselves of the language and the layer on top of the actual functionality. And we don't have a big marketing team. We don't have any marketing people actually in the company right now. So it's we all think that same way of like, just tell us what it does.
Right. Well,
So,
and it's definitely highly dependent on the marketing people,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Because given the opportunity, people will make things more complicated.
Yeah,
More
for
often
sure.
than not. I mean, like, look at our tax system.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I thought it was really funny, and I'm not like I don't like political conversations really at all, but it's not that political. It's something we all have. It's a tax system that exists, and it's our system. We pay for it, right? It's ours. So I thought it was really interesting. Like, you have experts, and I was talking about this with engineering too, because this happens, and your programming team can get into over engineering, and
Yeah.
that's what brought it up. We were talking about over engineering, and then in the book, we were talking about it. And then I was talking about taxes later. And I was like, oh my goodness, the same thing that happens in technology teams with over engineering and making products and code bases more complicated than they need to be is because the experts are in control of the creation.
Yeah.
And that's happening like with our legal system too. Like lawyers write the laws. Lawyers are really complicated. The more laws they write, the more work they have to do. And like the more granular and refined and distant it can be from like how we actually exist. And then our tax system. And now I just had this moment where I had to be like, all right, turning off my brain now because it's overloaded with our whole world is run by like people who are incentivized by making it more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely true. I think the other thing I think about when I think of along those lines that I see a lot is you have to be on the same page about what the simple goal that you're trying to achieve is. What's the one thing we're working towards? And I think that when I ask that question in a lot of discussions, whether it's about features or company plan or anything like that, is what's the simple goal? It helps us focus a lot on what we should be doing or what approaches need to be improved. And to me, that's also one of the things that you talk about taxes and politics, and that's like, well, what's the goal? Is the goal to make everyone not have to think about taxes? Is the goal to put as much money in people's pockets? Is the goal to have a lot of money so that the money that we all throw in the pool together can pay for everything that we needed to pay? Like what's the goal that you're trying to achieve? And to me, that's always the question I'm asking in politics, because I think that's more often than not very revealing, for sure.
Oh yeah, so I look at a lot of businesses, like most of them technology,
Yeah.
and the most interesting thing I've ever found, and I kind of stumbled into it by accident, is I'll walk in and I'll say, this is cool. I like what you got. I like what's going on. Like what do you guys like? What do you do? What's your macro? Like, what are you guys all trying to do? What song is everyone at the company singing? Like, what
Right.
value do you bring to the market? And you get like deer in headlights. I don't know. I'm working on this project. Well, like, why?
Yeah,
Well, our
exactly.
competitor did a similar project. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you don't even know why you're doing what you're doing. And
right.
like they've just been doing the same thing for years or months. And I'm like, well, this is why the business is in trouble.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We need to have kind of a North Star here if you guys are going to be doing anything.
Oh yeah, and we're not perfect. So we actually had this conversation yesterday about the show, and
Yeah.
so I'm gonna get your input on it too. We were sitting around, and we started out as weekly, then we went daily, and now we're doing 2 a days because the listeners have just kind of exploded.
Really?
And yeah, dude, we're getting 70,000 listens a week.
Wow, that's awesome.
I know, and we're in like not even month 2 yet.
Yeah,
So I mean, we did a lot of marketing too. So that
that's awesome.
we had that on us, but we had our editing queue is piling up, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And we have a staff of 4, I guess, including me, 3 of which are editing. And we were thinking, we go, oh, we got these 2 episodes. We got, Carl and Ryan and Isak. We got these 2 or 3 episodes. Now 4, now 5. Now you're like, number 6. We got them piling up. And I'm like,
yeah.
what are we waiting on? So we made like a list of what we're waiting on. All of them were waiting on like show notes.
Hmm.
Like these things called where we have our producer listen to the show and type up, in these 10 minutes they covered this. And I'm like, all right, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to 2 or 3, but I consume many of them. Never once have I ever listened to went to their webpage and like looked at the show notes.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
I asked Jake, I'm like, Jake, have you listened to a lot of podcasts? Yeah, yeah. Have you ever once looked at show notes? No. Hey, we started texting around. Hey, we started texting everybody we know that like this is podcast. Nobody ever looked at the show notes. And I'm like, this is holding up us being able to produce content. And we act show notes.
Yeah.
No more show notes. That's it.
No, I think, well, and even simplifying them to just this is what they talked about, and that can be as simple as after our conversation, you write down 3 phrases of we talked about restaurants, we talked about
Oh yeah, we're doing that. We're doing the general summary, like
yeah,
the paragraph that like sets it up that you can actually see in the podcast app.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
but we're not doing the transcription, like play
Oh no,
by play, minute by minute thing anymore.
I definitely look at the summary paragraph that's in the app,
Right,
but
right.
never do I go to anyone's website and like look at the long form transcription or long form summary.
Yeah, I write that. So we do the edits, and then I listen to it like while I'm driving, right, to make
Cool.
sure it sounds good. And I'll listen to it back and forth, and then I just write up a summary, and then we come in and record the intro and the summary, and we type it all up, and then that's how we release it because I want to make sure that it's covered correctly.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. If you're not eating your own food at the restaurant, you're a horrible chef, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Excellent. So your CTO day to day, that's good. You guys talk every day.
Yep.
You had some experience, some early on experience at Lockheed Martin.
Yep.
And I'm assuming there you built like killer robots. Can you speak on that for a minute?
Uh, no, so what I did at Lockheed Martin was we worked on an application that was basically a war planning web application. So generals and commanders would go into this web application and basically plan out different scenarios of
Whoa.
things happening and what they would do and blah blah blah. And so yeah, it's one of those examples which a lot of government projects are, where you have a kind of a high level explanation statement like I just gave you, and that sounds really cool. And then you dive into it and see how many crazy acronyms they are and just how complex it gets. Not necessarily for any reason, but just the web application gets out of hand complex, just the way they do things. I was a developer on it and would not be able to use it as a user. Like that's how
I
crazy
got
it is.
it. Like, Elon Musk is famous for sending this email about acronyms, like no more acronyms at my company.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you walk up and it's like it's the halo or the C prop, you're like, no, just say
Yeah.
it's like the propulsion thing. This is a thing that pushes other things forward. Like This is the
Yeah.
propulsion thing. This is the fire. This is the catch on. This is
Yeah.
the thing that keeps it from exploding. Like, you don't need to know, like, have a conversation with 800 acronyms.
Yeah.
It's
It doesn't make.
impossible.
And my dad was actually in the Army. That's why I moved around all over the country, and so I had a lot of exposure to those things. And so I was pretty comfortable with quite a few acronyms, but the level of acronyms there were crazy, and then just the level of complexity in the application was just crazy.
Oh yeah, my dad was in the Air Force.
Cool.
They put the he was in charge of the team in the 80s that put the first GPS system into the B-32 stealth bomber.
Oh wow, cool.
Because it was a stealthy airplane. What's better than a stealthy airplane? Well, one that knows where it is. Right?
Yeah. Generally, you want that nowadays.
Yeah. Well, that's like, it's amazing how it's just child's play compared to what we have now.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Boston Dynamics robots that are running around?
I have, yeah. Although they're having some trouble figuring out where to actually put those things. Google bought them, and then Google sold them, and who's going to be able to make any money off of them or have any real world applications is the interesting thing to me.
I will do a pack of attack dogs. I'll order one pack of attack dogs.
All right. So you're gonna fork over the 20 million for your pack of attack dogs, then?
Absolutely. But I'm going to replace them with their ability to do kisses and snuggles.
Got it.
There you go. Right. That's it. Just blows my mind. Elon Musk was tweeting about that. He goes, "Just wait." He goes, "You think that's cute? In 10 years, they're going to be able to move so fast you can't even see them."
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like, "Oh, thanks a lot, buddy. You just kept me up tonight."
Scared everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is a fantastic conversation. If you could go back, let's say Elon Musk calls you up. He's like, "Miles," and you're like, "Why are you calling me, bro?" No, he calls you up and he's like, "I got a time machine, and you can go back in it, and you could speak to yourself 10 years ago. What sort of advice would you give yourself? What would you tell 10 years ago, Miles?"
Buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, buddy.
No, I sold a Bitcoin like a year ago at $200, and now it's at like 20,000. It's crazy.
Oh no.
But no, I mean, I would say, to not worry so much about the big picture, because it will work out. Just do what makes sense at the time, and I've always worried about what my long-term career is, and security and job security and all those types of things. And I've learned over the years that that's, if you follow what you're passionate about, if you just explore things and follow what you're passionate about, I think it'll all work out and it's going to be just fine.
Well, and put the effort in. Like, work super hard.
Yeah, and put the effort in, and something that I really do a lot and try to do a lot too here in Boulder is kind of give back to the community and provide value to the people that are around me. And that's been the best thing for me, to be able to learn from other people and to get the opportunities I've been able to have just by providing value to other people and helping the community.
Oh, I'm curious. In like what ways specifically?
So a couple different ways. So have you heard of any of the startup weeks or startup weekends?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was all started by a guy here in Boulder, and Boulder Startup Week was the first one. And about 4 years ago now, I volunteered to run the development track for Boulder Startup Week, and I've been doing it ever since. And so I do that every week, a week every year, and put together a bunch of events around developers in the startup community. So that's really cool. And then a buddy of mine, so when I took the CTO job, I started talking to a couple of friends about, like, are there a community, or are there people that are, have the engineering background, but they're making this switch to dealing with different problems that a CTO deals with, and hiring, leadership, management, all these things that aren't taught in your computer science degree. And he was like, "No, there really isn't. We should do something about that." I was like, "Great, let's do something." So now, flash forward, we have a group of 100 people that are all startup CTOs in the local community here that are on an email list together, uses that as a resource to help each other out. And then once a month, we have a lunch together where we can just informally talk and hang out. And that's been a really, really cool resource, for sure, for a lot of people.
Oh, excellent. That I mean, that is what this is. What we're doing, right? That's
Yeah.
what Modern CTO podcast is.
Yeah, yeah. And we actually even did a CTO podcast, startups.
What?
Yeah, startupcto.io. And my buddy Kevin and I both got way too busy, way too quickly with our own businesses that are kind of taking off. And so we weren't able to do it anymore, but we got in quite a few good episodes, got to talk to a lot of really interesting people, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, awesome. So, how long ago did you stop that?
Uh, 5 or 6 months now.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. How long did it run for?
I have to look at the website. I think about a year.
Wow. So you guys were doing like weekly?
Yeah, I think we're doing like weekly. Yeah, we did some of the cooler ones. We got to do um, the VP of Engineering at Slack, the CTO at DigitalOcean, which was really cool. And then my favorite one was he was a co-founder at a company called Gnip that got bought by, it was here in Boulder, that got bought by Twitter. So now there's a Twitter Boulder office. And then he became the CTO of Techstars here in town, and has since left and started another company. But that was kind of one of my favorite ones that we did.
Who's that?
His name is Judd Valesky. He's a pretty cool guy. If you, he also, one of his hobbies is photography, and so I always follow him on Instagram. He always has these crazy, awesome pictures that he takes.
Ooh, yeah, he's probably got a great eye for design too and technology.
Yeah, yeah. His episode kind of sticks with me because he talked about how he always tries to hire people that are smarter than him, and he said I should always be the dumbest person in the room, and if I don't leave a conversation having been blown away by whatever it is you're passionate about and what you're obviously knowledgeable about, then it's not a good fit. And that's kind of how he navigated people really as a leader.
That is one of the best pieces of advice that stuck with me. I mean,
Yeah,
I think Jobs was made famous for saying it, right? Or somebody was, but
yeah,
it's been around, and I find that the people who hang on to that and repeat that are like really bright people.
yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, so I already got lots of love for Judd. That's his name, correct, Judd?
Yeah, Judd Valesky. Yep, you should
Excellent.
definitely check him out.
Yeah, that's great. We should definitely figure out something with the podcast, and that'd be cool, really cool to talk with Judd or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah. There are a lot of great people we got to meet through doing that. That I'm sure you'd be interested in talking to. So happy to make any introductions if some of them are interesting to you. But that's kind of one of the mottos that I try to live my life by, and that's kind of the motto of the local ecosystem here too. Boulder has the motto of give first, and it's kind of the motto of just help people, provide value to people around you without expecting anything in return, and good things will come out of just being valuable to the people around you.
That is that's our flag that we wave here, because we
Yeah,
don't we no ads. We don't do ads. We don't do advertise or anything like that.
yeah,
There's no commercials, no pre-roll. There's nothing. It's just straight value for other CTOs so that they can learn and we can pull up the next generation. Because Miles, you went through the pain of learning.
yeah,
These
for
are
sure.
expensive, like lessons that you learned,
Yeah,
and so did I, and so did thousands of other CTOs. So my goal is just like, let's group everyone together and share, and then just see what happens.
absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a really valuable experience because, like I said, when you go through all of the technical things that you should have as a CTO, for sure, none of those things help you actually do one of the biggest parts of being a CTO, and that's managing people at the end of the day. Like
Right?
you have to be a people person if you're going to lead any kind of organization or company.
Yeah, and you're familiar with Marty Kagan or no?
No, I don't think so.
All right, so Marty Kagan did HP, Netscape, AOL, or actually Netscape sold to AOL, HP, Netscape, a bunch of other big. He's like one of the most famous authors for creating products and UI UX design, team design, technology design. and
Cool.
he has a book out called Inspired. It's been out for like 10 years, and then they did an update of it. But he was on the show yesterday, and we were talking to
Oh,
him about designing products. So what we decided to do is we had a string of CTOs on, right, for our first 5-6 episodes, and then we were talking to everybody, communicating with everyone at scale, all the listeners.
yeah.
And we thought, oh, well, there's all these little subspecialties that the CTO will do in a startup when it's just them and a co-founder. And they eventually hire out to, like, product designers, product owners, things like that. Marketing, they'll do a little bit of marketing because they're technically savvy and if they need to. So all these little niches, and then like growth, culture, all these different things. So we're having experts like Marty for UI UX come in and talk to the CTOs about like things that they can do to improve when it's just them and they're small and it's just them having to do it. Just a little few good pieces of advice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's why. So we have a series of those coming in to talk about it. So
Yeah, that's really, really cool.
excellent. Well, thank you so much, Miles. It was a fantastic conversation. I would love to have you back anytime you want to come back.
Absolutely. It's great talking to you too.
Excellent. So I just hit the stop recording, and it was downloading to your HTML5, and now it's already uploaded.
Sweet.
Cool. Thank you so much, Miles.
No problem, Joel.
I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Thank you. See ya.
All right, bye.